Hey guys, today's video I'm going to be taking the Seattle Kraken's original roster and putting them into a franchise mode, see how good they would do in the sim. So the expansion draft was last night at the time I'm recording this. Some surprises in the draft, and I think in general they went more in a younger, cap-friendly direction. So not a lot of big contracts, a lot of guys that haven't really had a chance to prove themselves. So a lot of younger players, some AHL players. So that way they're hoping that in a new team, in a new environment, they can really grow and break out and be some big stars there in Seattle. So overall, I think they did a pretty good job in the draft. So I'm going to be taking that team, putting the best roster I can for your one in the sim, and see how good it can be. So for the purpose of this video, given Arizona is moving to the Central and Seattle is going to be in the Pacific, given it is an already created team, I had to substitute a team. I actually substituted the Blackhawks from the Central in order to move Arizona there and swap them with Seattle. So basically, Chicago is the lowest overall team in the Central. So in real life, in the Central, you'll still have Chicago there. Arizona will be in the Central. We'll have 8 teams per division. Seattle will be in the Pacific. They are 83 overall. So in this roster I have right now, they're actually tied with LA. It's the lowest rated team in the Pacific, which is realistic. Their roster isn't necessarily competitive right now, but we'll see how they do in the draft and free agency. I think they're going to have a solid team come at the start of the season. Now, this is a lineup I came up with for the Seattle Kraken, their initial roster, and I'll go over the AHL teams. You have some players down there as well. And no chemistry apart from the fourth line, but they're a new team. A lot of those guys don't really know each other, so I guess it's pretty realistic. They'll get to know each other and have better chemistry as the year goes on. So the roster I came up with is Yanni Gourde with Jared McCann and Jordan Eberle. Now, Eberle here, 30 years old, is a good player, of course. One of the better players on the Islanders. 40 points in 58 games last year. So he's going to give you around 35 to 50 plus points every year, around 20 goals. Very solid. With Jared McCann, who was with Pittsburgh as a centerman, of course, under shadow guys like Crosby and Malkin. I think he can break out and have a pretty good year with Seattle. Yanni Gourde there. Stanley Cup champion back-to-back years with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Very solid player, kind of like a grinder player. It's only 5'9", 173, but he plays with a lot of heart and plays bigger than his size, really. So I think that's a great addition to that Seattle team. Brandon Tanev, Callie Yarncrow, and Jonas Donskoy will be line number 2. Then we have Mason Appleton, Brandon Peary, Tyler Pitlick, who I believe actually just got traded to the Calgary Flames, but I want to make with this video basically the initial roster, so we'll keep him interest for the sake of the video. Colin Blackwell, John Clenville, and Nathan Bastian would be the fourth line. They actually have a +1 there. So guys like Appleton, the younger guys, McCann, Gourde, I think they're going to grow pretty well with Seattle in a new environment. So we'll see how that works. Defense at Mark Giordano with Adam Larson, giving him a +1. Cal Fleury and Hayden Fleury. So I wanted to put the bros together for this video to have a +1. I'm not sure why, but if I put them on the bottom pairing, it gives a -1. But in the middle pairing here, it gives a +1. So I wasn't really sure if that actually was a thing where you could have the same players together, but depending on a certain line they are, I guess it fits the coach's scheme fit better. Then we have Vince Dunn and Jamie Alexiak, 6'7", 255. I believe they said it was the heaviest guy in the NHL, so big body in him. So that's a big addition to for Seattle. It's really cool to see the Fleury brothers together. I believe they said like in the expansion draft they hadn't played together since 5 years old. So it's cool to see them in the same NHL team now. Goaltending, we have Chris Driedger, who had signed unofficially that extension, and Vitek Vanacek, who was very solid. Both of these goalies were very solid last year. So those are pretty good choices. Personally, I picked 8 out of 30 guys correctly for the team. I predicted Yanni Gourde and Jared McCann. I predicted Callie Yarncrow, Jonas Donskoy. I predicted Mason Appleton. For defense, I did predict Hayden Fleury. I did not predict Cal Fleury. My pick for the Habs was actually another defenseman, Brett Kulak. And I predicted Driedger and Vanacek. I thought they would pick Kakinen from the Wild. I was surprised they didn't pick him. I thought they would pick Max Domi out of Columbus. Again, I was surprised they didn't pick him as well. For the Islanders, I thought it'd be between Eberle and Bailey, honestly. For the Leafs, I knew it was probably going to be between McCann and Kerfoot. In getting McCann, Dubas was able to ensure they would keep at least one of the two, McCann or Kerfoot, and they ended up taking him. And yeah, again, some pretty good guys down in the minors as well. AHL, Carson Twarnski. Somehow I actually duplicated John Quinville, so disregard that. He's twice in the team. But Twarnski, Cole Lynn actually got Morgan Geeky out of the Hurricanes. He got Alexander True out of San Jose. Defense got Schlosky from the Wings. He got McDermott from the Kings. Dozon from the Bruins. Susie from the Wild. I believe that's it. And then in goal, of course, they got Joey Dacau from the Ottawa Senators. Now the power plays, I actually left him as is. I basically put best lines, and this is what the computer came up with. I really like it. They all have good chemistry. So Gordon McCann, Donskoy, Eberle, Giordano, probably gonna be something similar in real life. Blackwell, Appleton, Tanev, Yarncrow, and Dunn. Again, probably gonna be similar to that in real life. Power play, here's the four-man. Penalty kills, pretty good. +3 on both units, actually. That's pretty rare to see that. 3-man is 0, which is very good, usually -1 or -3. As for the jerseys, I'm going to just go quickly in the game and in the previous screen to show you guys the jerseys I made. So just a look at the away jerseys. I think they came out pretty well. I really love these jerseys in real life. I love especially the bright light blue, like sky blue, along with that navy blue and dark red. I think it's a fantastic combination. And here's a look at their home jerseys, the dark blue with the red and blue stripes. Those are some of my favorite jerseys in the entire league right now, honestly. I absolutely love them. And it's going to be exciting to see them on the ice in real life. So it's going to simulate up to the trade deadline first and see how the team is doing. I'm actually going to go ahead and just give a captaincy and assistant captaincy for this video. Now, the game automatically gave it to Eberle, Giordano, and Larson. I think that's fair, Giordano being a leader in Calgary. Eberle, Larson, they're veterans. Both of them played in Edmonton, actually. So I think that's pretty good. Honestly, I think in real life, I'm not sure if they're going to give it to Giordano. I mean, he's getting older. It's going to be, I think, a free agent after. I'm looking maybe a guy like Alexiak, a big defenseman, a leader. A guy like Yanni Gourde as well, probably potentially could get an A. McCann. We'll see. I think it's going to be some of the younger guys that are eventually going to get it, depending on how they play and how the seasons go. But we'll see at that point. But here we go, guys. Going to go into the franchise. And while I say I'm going to talk about a few moves that happened in the NHL. I don't really understand the Carolina and Detroit move. I mean, Carolina traded Alex Nedeljkovic, who was a Calder finalist as a goaltender, to Detroit for Jonathan Bernier in a third. And I thought if they would move Nedeljkovic, could have gone something maybe a bit better. I mean, Bernier is a good goaltender, but I think for the value you could have gotten from him, I think maybe they couldn't reach an agreement. They offered a 1.5 million. He wanted 3.5. So surprising about that. Also surprised about Arizona getting trades with no return. I believe Angela was one of them. Shane Gostisbehere, the Flyers traded him to Arizona. They literally got nothing back. Gostisbehere and picks, no return. So it's pretty odd to see. Taylor Hall re-signing in Boston. So very active. I mean, MLB and NHL, both hockey and baseball, full swing of trades, signings. So definitely an exciting time to be a sports fan. So at the trade deadline, we have a record of 21-30, 1-9. So we're not doing too good. We're actually last in the Pacific, last in the NHL. I'm going to take a look quickly at the points through the trade deadline. So we have Yanni Gourde, leading scorer of the team, 44 points. Eberle McCann tied first for goals. These are pretty much the guys we expect at the top. Giordano, Donskoy, Larson. So pretty realistic in terms of scoring. Goaltending, Drieger and Vanacek not doing too good. I mean, same percentage of goals against, so definitely not bad. Over 900 and under 3. In terms of how the team is in front of them, it's honestly not bad. And like I said, Drieger, Vanacek had very solid years. I mean, Kaapo Kähkönen had won 9 games in a row at one point with the Minnesota Wild. Had him in fantasy, and I thought that he'd be a good pick for them. And they didn't pick him. They ended up going with Carson Soucy, which is a big defenseman, very physical. So I think they wanted a lot of big defensemen. I mean, you see they got Alexiak. So I think that's the direction they wanted to go in. Now, before we finish off the sim, I just want to take a look at the trades. As there's a lot of moves in real life. Let's see what happens in the game. See if there's any big blockbusters. Brock Nelson actually goes to the Sens for a couple of picks and a prospect. Broberg and a pick for Bobby Ryan and a third. That's a big trade there. Russ, Cece, and Rodrigue to Carolina for Honka and a couple of picks. It looks like Bufflin was signed by the Devils. He always seems to be traded like he's a free agent in this game at the start. A team signs him and then trades him at the deadline. Shane Bowers and Devin Dunick for Mark Stone, a couple of picks. So pretty big trade there. Nick Leddy going to Philadelphia. He actually he's actually going to be a part of the Red Wings next year in real life. Evan Bouchard and McLeod in the 7th for Suter and Hunt. Spurgeon and Johansson to the Coyotes for Soderstrom. Look at all those defensemen being moved between Minnesota, Edmonton, Arizona, Edmonton, and Minnesota. Bunch of defensemen. Nyquist goes to Carolina. Very active trade deadline. And now this is a big trade. Evander Kane, Marlowe in a 6 for Marc-Andre Fleury and Korzak. Blockbuster move between the Sharks and the Knights. Pellet goes to Dallas. Tennessee actually goes to the Coyotes. Zucker, Tanev, and Aston Reese. So that's Tanev on the Penguins. He goes to Florida. Wow. James Duthie and the boys at TSN would have had a lot of fun in this trade deadline. Pretty active. A lot of big names. And yeah, they would have had a lot to talk about. More than a trade deadline this past season. Honestly, we were talking more about trades that happened in the guys on the panel that played in NHL. Talking more about those trades and trades that were actually happening. So let's finish off the same, see how the team does. Alright, so at the end of the year, we finished with 72 points. We are last in the Pacific, last in the West, but the Penguins and Devils, 68 and 69 points. That's not nice for the Penguins. I don't know what happened there. But Jordan Eberle scored a team. I actually owned a Eberle Edmonton jersey, the home blue ones they used to have. 27 goals, 64 points, 22 points, 61 for Gord, McCann. Those three guys with pretty solid years on the first line. Yarncrow, Giordano was minus 16 there. Donskoy, Larson, Appleton, Tanev, Peary, Pitlick, Dunn, Blackwell, Fleury. You can see the rest of the guys. Pretty similar stats for the two Fleury brothers. Quenneville and Bastian. When I take a look at goaltending there, Drieger and Vanacek. Vanacek was actually 8-8-3. 950 save percentage at 268 goals against. Very respectable as a backup. 903 and 308 for Drieger. Taking a look at AHL there, Dakar was 13-15. And in terms of scoring, Morgan Geekie, 20 goals, 63 points. Good for him. Chalowski, 59 as a defenseman, plus 15. Truitt, 54. Lynn, Quenneville. So it looks like it's all of the guys that are in with Seattle. And earlier in the video, I said I duplicated Quenneville. It's actually because I replaced the Chicago Blackhawks, and that's the actual John Quenneville in the AHL team of the Blackhawks. So that's why. Louison 43. So it's all the Seattle Kraken draft picks are the top scorers in the AHL. So that's a good sign for Seattle that they have some good prospects. And look at that, they're actually third in the Central. So good for them. I'm going to take a look at the awards and who won the Stanley Cup afterwards. And before that, just going to take a quick look at league scoring. So Jordan Eberle, of course, leading our team. Who won the Art Ross? It is Nathan McKinnon, 111 points, 46 goals. 59 goals for Ovechkin, 104 points at 35. Matthews with 97, McDavid with 94, Eichel, Rantanen, Barkov, Kuznetsov, Keller. Clayton Keller with a big year. Ovechkin brings home the Maurice Richard, as he usually does. Defenseman Drew Doughty and Brent Burns. So surprising years for those two veterans there. Quinn Hughes with 70 points. Riley, Ekman Larson, Carlson, Makar. Usual suspects there. Goaltending, Ben Bishop with a big year. He was unprotected, but with similar price mean, he's older, a bit older with health concerns and not making too much money, under $5 million, but his health was in question. Grubauer, Anderson, Ranta, Fleury. Fleury, of course, with the Sharks after that big trade. Kaprizov, he's probably going to win the Calder. 24 goals, 61 points. 85 overall. Lafreniere with 56, 85. Stützle at number 3. In terms of rookie goaltenders, Shesterkin and then Kaapo Kähkönen. And Chris Drieger, 22 wins. That was with us. And in terms of the NHL, let's take a look who won the President's Trophy. And then we'll simulate the rest of the year, the playoffs. So Dallas Stars, 52 wins, 108. The Arizona Coyotes with 50 wins. Edmonton, wow, some surprising teams up top. Anaheim, Philly, definitely a weird year. It's probably going to be a random team that's not expected to even make the playoffs in real life that's going to win the cup. So let's take a look at that. And the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. Texas Star win the Calder Cup. Well, if it wasn't for the Montreal Canadiens coming back down 3-1, the Toronto Maple Leafs definitely thought they had a shot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I mean, as a Habs fan, I was obviously happy about that, coming down 3-1. But at least they won the cup in this sim. LA jumps from 6-1, Montreal from 4-2, New Jersey 1-3. Looks like Seattle goes to number 5. In real life, they're going to be picking second tomorrow night. This is Thursday and I'm recording this, so definitely looking forward to the draft, see what they take. And it's going to be a good night of hockey entertainment. Alright, so just before we finish off the video, we're going to take a look at the awards for the whole NHL. Toronto won the Stanley Cup. Looks like they beat the Edmonton Oilers, so it was an all-Canadian final in the Stanley Cup final. McKinnon with the Art Ross as well as the Hart. Hughes wins the Norris. McKinnon wins the Lady Byng. Kaprizov with the Calder. Conn Smythe, Austin Matthews. That definitely makes sense. Vezina to John Gibson. William M. Jennings to Bishop. Masterton to Hedman. Jack Adams to the Jackets coach. Selke to Kopitar. That's pretty cool. McKinnon was to 10 Lizzie. And Maurice Rocket Richard goes to Ovi. If you guys are not aware, I'm actually making a Anaheim Mighty Ducks franchise mode. So I'm taking the Anaheim Ducks. I rebranded them with their old jersey and logo. So got a couple episodes up. Episode 3 of season 3 should be up fairly soon. So if you guys haven't watched that, definitely go take a look. It's pretty cool to see the Ducks with those old Mighty Duck branding. And I'm going to have some more videos coming up in the future for that and other videos on the side as well. So you guys enjoyed, do leave a like, would appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell to get notified whenever a new video goes live. Can't wait to see Seattle with their new arena. New jerseys, new team. It's going to be pretty cool to watch that. I know the Montreal Canadiens, being a Habs fan, they're actually playing Seattle pretty early in the season. I think within the next first 10-15 games, they're playing in Seattle. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a great day.